Hey, what's going on? This is Chris Orzechowski here from the emailcopywriter.com. Today, I got another awesome video for you. We are going to be talking about the most popular growing niches that I've been seeing so far in 2022. Let's get into it. So first, a quick note about niching down. This is one of those things that everyone who teaches copywriting talks about the importance of niching. And I'll admit, it is important. You do want to find where your groove is going to be, where you can write for products and services and businesses that kind of fit your wheelhouse, fit your interest level, fit into a bucket of something that you think that you're good at, right? So you can kind of stay in your zone of genius and zone of excellence and really write good stuff. But a lot of times people tend to go about this all wrong. And again, it's a little bit different strokes for different folks. For me personally, the way that I like to niche, I always like to niche down by medium. So obviously this video is about email copywriting niches, right? Which implies that we're talking about niches that have businesses that you can write emails for, as opposed to other types of copy like long form sales pages or video scripts or ads and those kind of things. So one way to niche down is by medium. And this is what I've always done, the emailcopywriter.com. That's my website for a reason, because I love writing emails for clients. That's what I do, for just about every single client I work with. Even if I do other stuff for them too, the common thread is I do email. But another way to niche down is by specific product types that you're interested in. I have a coaching program called One Person Agency, where we help email copywriters go from just basic, regular email copywriters who are kind of sitting at the kids' table with their clients to being the adult in the room, to being the strategist, to being an email list manager, where they can do all the functions of managing and growing an email list and growing revenue from email from that channel for their clients, taking over everything and getting paid the big bucks to do so. And as part of that program, one of the things that I get to see is where are a lot of my students working and what niches are they starting to get a lot of opportunities in. So I want to list off some of those. And the first one is the CBD industry. Now, this is kind of exploding, and it's super important. Email has become super important for it for a number of reasons. A lot of ad networks will not let you advertise CBD products on their platforms. Again, that's as of right now. This will probably change in the future, I would imagine, as it becomes more accepted and there's more regulations and those kind of things. But for now, you can't really advertise for it. It's kind of tough, at least not on most of the popular networks. But obviously, if you can't advertise, well, what else can you do? Well, you can still use email marketing. So I have a ton of copywriters and email marketers that I coach who are in the CBD industry. They work with companies in the CBD industry, and they are just making a killing. So that is one that I think is a rising tide and will only continue to get more popular, especially as marijuana becomes decriminalized and more legally available. That is going to probably grow in size and profitability. The second industry that I see a ton of growth in are hobby markets. So what I think happened was, obviously we had the big pandemic. After that, people really started finding their hobbies again, right? They started spending more time at home. They started having more free time because they weren't commuting. So people started traveling and they started doing things like, I remember at the beginning in 2020, everyone was baking bread and learning how to cook and do all these crazy things. So I think that whole movement of embracing hobbies was always important, but it became even more important as people found all this extra free time on their hands and they were spending more time with their families, and those kind of things. So hobby markets. So it could be things like golf, it could be things like crocheting, cooking, growing, a vegetable garden. So any kind of market that is selling products that are going to help people explore and learn and master their hobbies and have a more enjoyable experience with their hobbies. Those are markets that I've seen a lot of my coaching students have some opportunities in. The third field that seems to be growing at an alarming rate is the mental health field. Now, there's tons of different products and services. It's definitely one of those where there's a lot of money being poured in from venture capital and from other sources. A lot of investments are being made into these areas. And obviously, anytime there is a sector where there is a lot of VC money flowing in, there's a lot of opportunity for writers and marketers to take advantage of those opportunities and help those companies grow. Mental health is one of those things that's become super important. Personally, I think it's because everyone spends way too much time on social media. It's frying their brains. So as a result, they're having issues, right? And that's just part of it. There's a lot of other things going on, but it's a part that you really can't ignore. So mental health is becoming more important. On top of that, I think people are starting to pay attention to their own mental state, where maybe in generations past, it wasn't something that was as prevalent. So being that there's more attention into the area and there's more money flowing into the area, those two things culminate, and there's a lot of companies that are being formed. It might be softwares, it might be supplements, it might be other kind of products, services, that are forming to help people with these issues. And obviously those companies, if they want to grow, they need to sell. They need to get people enrolled into their services and get those products into people's hands. So that's where you as an email copywriter can come in and you could really help a lot of companies grow. I had a coaching student years ago and she exclusively worked in this space, and she had a lot of awesome clients that she really loved working with in that whole mental health space. So I think it's only becoming more important, and it will probably continue to do so through this year and beyond. The fourth area that I see a lot of growth in, a great email copywriting niche, is the food and beverage niche. Again, I think that this is still riding a bit of a wave from the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything, but a lot of people, a lot more so than ever before, are buying food and beverages and really specialized food and beverage products from direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. So this could be things like different types of sodas. This could be things like one of my clients, Carnivore Snacks, where they sell, they're like meat potato chips, right? carnivoresnacks.com, check them out. So that's an example of a food company where you're not going to go into ShopRite or Kroger's, you're not going to go into one of those regular supermarkets to find those products, but you can buy those products directly from the website. Obviously, if these companies, these direct-to-consumer companies, don't have distribution through regular stores and through regular local channels, they're going to be selling online. If they're selling online, they need an email copywriter's help. Number 5, pet products and training. There are tons of companies in the pet space. And the thing that I noticed about the pet space is that people spend money irrationally, like so irrationally. It's insane the amount of money that people spend on their pets. Though sometimes people will spend more money each month on their pets than they will buying things for themselves, which is crazy. It doesn't make any logical sense, but this is what people do. At my agency, we work with a lot of different types of brands. One of these brands sells leashes, right? Dog leashes. Another brand that I've worked with in the past is a company that sells a health sharing plan for your pets, right? So that, again, is another growing industry that falls into that umbrella of pets and pet care and pet products, things like that. So I think that more people are getting pets than ever. And people, obviously, when they have pets, they need to buy things for them. So that's another place where we've seen a lot of growth in the email marketing space. Number 6, skincare and personal grooming. This has exploded. I mean, it's always been big. It was always big in for women. There's been tons of women's skincare brands over time, but now you're starting to see a ton of men's skincare brands and men's grooming brands pop up out of nowhere. Everyone knows there's a lot of popular beard oil brands, things like that. But now it's even like there's brands dedicated specifically towards men's skincare. You didn't really see that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but now there's a lot of those brands popping up because I guess a lot of marketers realize that there's a lot of money being left on the table in those markets. So we've worked with a number of skincare brands at my agency. We've had a lot of success with them. And I think that's a sector that's growing and growing, especially as people starting to realize that a lot of these big time skincare brands, their products are loaded with chemicals and parabens and a whole bunch of other bad stuff that really messes up your hormones. So I think that is an area that's going to continue to grow as people become more cognizant and more aware of the problems with the traditional products. You have an opportunity as an email marketer, as an email copywriter, to work with some of these brands and help them grow. Number 7 is wellness. So this kind of like piggybacks on the mental health, but there's tons of brands right now that are focused on helping people under the umbrella of with wellness issues. So there's tons of yoga brands, and there's tons of spiritual brands that are going beyond just the regular field of health, right? So there's health and there's wellness, which are kind of two different concepts. So I have one of my coaching students and she works with a ton of yoga brands. So some of these brands, they might sell products, they might sell instructional videos. Some of these brands will even sell these luxury high-end experiences where people are paying $5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand to go away on these retreats, right? So obviously when there's high-priced luxury premium products like that, those companies, the people who work at those companies, people who own those companies need help selling those experiences. You could be the person who helps them sell a lot of those higher end premium wellness experiences, even things like med spas. There's tons of these places and they all focus under that umbrella of wellness, and people are buying a lot more of this stuff than they ever have before. Number 8 is digital courses. Now, digital courses, I feel like in this space as an email marketer, it's always been popular, but they just continue to grow and grow every single year. More people are buying courses than ever, more people are selling courses than ever. Online education in general is just getting huge. There's probably a lot of reasons for that. One of them is because people realize that they have holes in their education that weren't filled by the traditional schooling, by traditional public schooling or by college or whatever, or they might want a career change. And that's where you see a lot of opportunity where people are changing careers and they need to learn a whole new skill set. Well, a lot of times people are turning online and they're going to online courses. That's how I started my business. That's how I got into email marketing in the first place. I was a public school teacher. I didn't know how to do email marketing. So my entire email marketing education came from taking online courses and coaching programs and things like that. So that's always been big in the direct response, online advertising industry, online marketing, right? That's always been huge, but it's just continue to grow. If you continue to look at these stats about how much money is being generated by these businesses year over year, it continues to grow, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. So if you're an email marketer, that's definitely a great place that you could focus your efforts on. Number 9, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I would say anything that's D2C e-commerce, so direct to consumer e-commerce. So any brand that's selling physical products, there's just more and more of these brands popping up. There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these brands already around the world, and they're selling every single type of product imaginable. And what's happening too is a lot of brands that might have sold through traditional channels like a Walmart or an Amazon, things like that. Sometimes these brands are realizing like, hey, you know what, we don't want to be dependent on Amazon. We don't want to be dependent on Walmart or these other distribution channels. They want to own their marketing process and their acquisition process, and they want to own their customer lists. So we've had a number of clients who want to do things like reduce their dependency on Amazon, who are starting to build their own email list and optimize their email marketing so that they can continue to sell and not worry about if Amazon or one of these other companies or Etsy or whatever it is changes their algorithm and reduce their traffic and cuts off some of their sales, right? So basically, at my agency, we work with a ton of DTC, direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. We've had a lot of success with them, and the cool thing is those campaigns are a lot of fun, and it can be super lucrative if you have a brand that really does things well. Number 10 is supplements. Supplements, they're just so popular. I feel like they've been popular for a long time, and it's just one of those industries that just continues to grow and grow and grow every single year. People are taking more supplements than ever, and I think it's a good thing. I think there's a lot of good supplements. There's obviously some bad supplements. There's some supplements that are junk out there, so you want to make sure if you are going to be in this industry, you're working with a reputable company that sells products that actually help people. But assuming you have that, and assuming you have a good brand that you're aligned with, you could really change a lot of people's lives and make a lot of money doing so. Supplements, I don't think are going anywhere. I think they're going to continue to be more important, especially as people are taking back control of their health, because basically you reach a certain age and you start to experience problems, and you can either go the pharmaceutical route or you could try to use your own interventions. Sometimes those interventions might include specific supplements. So I think there's a lot of money in there, and there's always going to be a lot of money there. I don't ever see that slowing down. So if you're an email copywriter, I know a lot of people who just work with supplement companies. We've worked with supplement companies before. We love them. They're great. They're a lot of fun, and we change a lot of lives. Number 11 is going to be financial. So financial is basically a large umbrella, and there's a lot of ways that you could slice it and dice it. You could go in the direction of working with companies that are like financial softwares, or you have all these really direct-to-consumer financial apps and websites and services, things like that. But you also have financial publishers that sell advice on making money from investing and making money from the stock market and things like that. And there's tons of these brands. Some of these companies are not that reputable, but there's a lot of good companies in that space out there who actually really put out premium products that really help people. So it's just making sure that you're aligning yourself with a good team who sell ethical, good, solid products that actually help people get a result. But assuming you have that, assuming you find them and they are out there, you could really make some magic with the right type of brand and make a lot of money as an email marketer. So just to recap, those are some big important industries that we're seeing a lot of growth, and we're seeing a lot of people get opportunities to write emails for those type of companies. The one thing to remember though is when you're niching down and you're deciding where you want to go, you could either target some of these niches or you don't have to. Maybe none of these niches interest you, and that's totally fine. That sometimes is the case. There's nothing wrong with that. What you have to look at when you're choosing a niche is there money in this niche, right? Are there companies in this niche growing, making money, making a lot of sales, and growing year over year? Is there momentum in this niche, right? Like, you probably don't want to get into trying to sell newspaper subscriptions, right? Like, probably, that kind of had its heyday. Obviously, that's kind of getting disrupted, that whole industry. So when you're looking at an industry, making sure that you're looking at an industry that's not getting disrupted and that's not on the decline. You want to look at industries that are going up and up and up, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, does it actually interest you? Can you sell those products? Do you use those type of products? what I've found is, as a copywriter, you're always going to do much better selling products that you use, that you're a customer of. It doesn't mean you only have to write for products that you bought yourself, but oftentimes I think you'll find that when you have products that you're selling or you're writing copy for, you're writing emails for, and you've used those products yourself, the copy kind of writes itself. So something to keep in mind. If you like this video, drop a comment for me below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any niches that you think that I left off this list that are growing fast, that should be on this list, and maybe I can do a follow-up. Jump on my email list, go to theemailcopywriter.com. You'll get notifications for when these videos come out and some other cool stuff, plus a free copy of my book, Make It Rain, and I'll see you soon. Later.